Hello, my name is Soledad Hernandez, and I am going to present to you my digital portfolio using eMaze to present it. This is my first time using this tool for presentation. Okay, so in my portfolio, I will talk about my lesson with PlayPosit, assignment with StoryJumper, a lesson observed with Flipgrid and Buncee. Okay, so PlayPosit, what is it? It's a learning tool that actively engages students through the use of videos. Some of the challenges I found were that finding a Spanish video that's already made and that covered the material I needed was kind of difficult to find. And also that it's only assigned to students. So each student had to listen to the video, to the lesson on their own and answer the questions. So those were my challenges. The pros using PlayPosit was that it monitors comprehension and it can be used as a pre or a post assessment. Its benefits to ELLs is that it has visuals and you are able to repeat it, the lesson, as well as to show your understanding in a variety of ways with the interactions, which are the questions. They can be in the format of multiple choice, fill in the blank, a poll, check all, or a discussion. So then the lesson that I used this for was on parallel and perpendicular lines. This was a lesson that goes along with the unit on geometry. And here is what the lesson looks like. There's a video, and these on the left side are the example questions that I added here for my students to answer. There was some yes and no questions about parallel lines, pre-response, true or false, are these two lines parallels or perpendicular? So I really like this feature because I was able to add a variety of questions to get a gist of what my students know on parallel and perpendicular lines. I also like that I have data that I can see. I can see how long it took the students to complete this lesson. I can see if they got the questions right or wrong based on the color that you see here, red and for wrong and green for correct. So that gave me a good idea on what I would need to, or how I would need to differentiate on some follow-up activities. Let's see. The standards for this lesson, the WIDA standards were the ELD standard for number 3, which includes math, which is English language learners communicate information, ideas, and concepts necessary for academic success in the content area of math. The Common Core standard is geometry for 4th grade, and then the ISTE standard was 6, which is creative communicator, which says that students communicate clearly and express themselves creatively for a variety of purposes using the platforms, tools, styles, formats, and digital media appropriate to their goals. All right, the next one is StoryJumper. So what is it? It is a tool that students use to create a digital book. They can create a book on lots of things. It could be a summary. It could be okay, challenges. So it was new to everyone, but students were able to watch a tutorial and then they used the program just fine. And I also showed it to them before so they have an idea, and then when they went off to work on their own, that video popped up and they were able to see the tutorial, which wasn't very long, that described how to use all the different features in StoryJumper. benefits to ELLs. They use pictures and text to demonstrate their knowledge. So the assignment was to create a book about an animal of their choice and to include internal and external structures. So I will show you some examples of what my students did. Let's see. Here's one. Griffin wrote about chameleons. He recorded himself as well.
Todo lo que necesitas saber sobre los camaleones. Escrito y ilustrado por Griffin R. Monkey.
He also used some background noise, which was very neat. And then a dedication to his parents for buying him his first chameleon. And here you can see that he added some backgrounds, very colorful, text, pictures. He answered all the questions that I had for them based on the animal that they chose. They had to find internal and external structures. And he also recorded himself reading the book.
¿Cuáles son algunas estructuras internas que lo ayudan a sobrevivir?
I think he did a very nice job reading this story in Spanish, as he is a Spanish language learner. Let's see. Another one that I like to show you is actually his brother, Ruben.
Pandas rojos.
Red pandas dedicated to his brother.
Mi hermano Griffin.
And here he also added background pictures and then the text. It was a little hard to see, but other than that, he did a very nice job of answering the questions that I had that I needed for them to do. Then he added more facts towards the end. And then one more I wanted to show was this one, Aaliyah Bello. She also recorded herself. Dedicated to her classmates.
¿Cuál es el animal? Medusas. ¿Cuáles son algunas estructuras externas que ayudan a las medusas a sobrevivir?
I feel like all of these students did a very nice job in showing me what they're capable of, and I was very pleased with what they accomplished using Story Jumper. Now the standards that were used, the WIDA standards are the standard 4, which states English language learners communicate information, ideas, and concepts necessary for academic success in the content area of science. And then the Common Core, it was 4 LS1, structure, function, and information processing, which entails students to determine the internal and external structures of animals. And then the ISC standard is 6C, that says students communicate complex ideas clearly and effectively by creating or using a variety of digital objects such as visualizations, models, or simulations. Okay, the next one is Flipgrid. This was the lesson that I observed. So what is Flipgrid? Flipgrid is a tool that students use to record themselves responding to a prompt. Some benefits is that they're practicing their speaking skills, and improvements, sentence rings, which I will talk a little bit more about. So play pause it. Flipgrid. I observed a teacher teaching ELLs virtually through a recorded video on YouTube. He walked through how students log into Flipgrid using a computer and a cell phone. The prompt he gave his students was, "What have you been doing?" He provided an example video of himself answering the prompt. He also showed students how to record and how they can add filters and emojis. I thought this was a pretty simple and concise lesson. There isn't too much to teach when using Flipgrid. When students know the basics, they will be able to record themselves answering any prompt given to them. And Flipgrid, I think, can be used at any part of the lesson, before, during, or after. It's just a great tool to use throughout. And then using Flipgrid is definitely beneficial to ELL students. As I said before, it helps with their speaking skills. And then there's also ways for students to use filters and emojis. I know that I would probably not feel too comfortable recording myself, so the students can use the filters and emojis to cover their faces. Maybe it'll make them feel better and they feel better about just expressing themselves, practicing their speaking skills without having to worry about themselves, how they look on camera. The only thing I would recommend, and I did not hear him in the lesson, was providing sentence frames for students to use. I think that would be very helpful. Some students might not need them, but there's definitely some who will need them to get them started on speaking, getting them started on what they can say to answer the prompt. All right, and then the standards for Flipgrid. For WIDA, it would be any of the speaking domain. Common Core state standards, there wasn't a specific standard that was used in this lesson, but it can definitely be used in any of the Common Core state standards. The ISTE standards is a creative communicator, which students communicate clearly and express themselves creatively for a variety of purposes using the platforms, tools, styles, formats, and digital media appropriate to their goals. Okay, and the last one is Buncee. It's a technology tool. The purpose is for content creation and communication tool. The pros is that everyone in the school can use it. Even administrators, teachers, students, and it can be shared to parents as well. It can also be used to flip the classroom. Other pros are that it has easy to use templates for activities, lessons, and presentations. And teachers can personalize instruction to reach all types of learners. The one con that I did find was that some top-notch features do come at a price. So that will affect some things that you might want to do. And use with ELLs. It's a great tool to use with ELLs because it allows them to create digital slides, presentations, digital posters, greetings, and images, which having images is very important for ELL students to learn and improve on their language. I have an example here of an activity that I found on Buncee. So there are some that are already made that you can just copy it and use it. You can make some changes and then assign it to students. So here's a simple math one. You have to replace each question mark with the correct answer. So this is an example of how you can use it as just an activity. It's instead of a worksheet, you can just give them an activity on Buncee, which I really like, and I hope that I'm able to somehow incorporate this in my teaching next year. I know it also has some features for grading. It's a good overall tool to use for various things in the classroom. the standards, there wasn't any specific WIDA English language development standards, but I feel like they depends on what lesson you're doing, as well as the Common Core state standards. It depends on what lesson you are doing. But it will definitely cover both of those. For the ISP standard, knowledge creator, knowledge constructor. And that is all I have. So thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed the presentation.